it doesn't seem like Microsoft is going to be able to escape people always talking about the potential end of Xbox. And this latest bit of news sounds pretty much just as bad as you would pretty much imagine. Obviously, since Microsoft decided to put their games on PlayStation and even Nintendo, everybody's going to start to question kind of what's going on, and it is really unfortunate the way that this kind of stuff happens time and time again. Obviously, you as a console owner, like I'm a console owner, but at the same time, it doesn't give you very much faith in the console generation when this stuff happens. I mean, people are going to not want to invest. They're not going to want to buy games on the platform. It's really sort of an unfortunate situation for everyone pretty much all the way around. So, again, I kind of want to talk about it and get into it, and we'll see what happens, I always hear a lot of people say, hey, I wish Peter Moore still ran Xbox, right? Like a lot of people say that because, they look at him and they say, oh, well, he's somebody who, really took no guff and ran Xbox right and did all this kind of stuff. So when it comes down to it, I think, a lot of people take stock in it. So he's the former Xbox boss, and he's actually did a recent interview where he's talking about, final console generations and things like that. So, this is what he basically had to say. Former Xbox and EA boss Peter Moore revealed his thoughts on the future of gaming and how traditional console generations could be coming to an end. According to Moore, launching new hardware is both expensive and risky for even the biggest and most established companies in the industry, and with new advances in technology, companies might not be willing to risk billions to kick off a new console cycle. According to Moore, while Sony would likely be the trendsetter for new console hardware, other companies like Microsoft could look to cloud gaming to become more profitable. He said, and I quote, Sony is much more of a hardware company, so I would say that that's your barometer company. Microsoft, not so much. Microsoft, I'm sure, would love it if everything moved into the cloud. Moore added that while there's always an element of uncertainty when it comes to developing the technology behind new consoles, he thinks that companies are asking tough questions behind closed doors when it comes to multi-billion-dollar console investments and convincing people to spend a substantial amount of cash on gaming hardware when more affordable options are available. What I'm saying is the questions are being asked as they have been for the last 20 years, Moore said. Are we ready to gird our loins finally for battle and all the cost of development, silicon development? What is it that PS6 can do that PS5 can't do that would make people jump from a PS5, or same with Xbox, or same with the Switch? According to Moore, companies will likely be looking to extend the current console generation while looking at emerging technologies like cloud gaming and AI. Additionally, companies will be considering how to make games quicker, cheaper, and with fewer people. Behind the scenes, the gaming industry has experienced turmoil in 2024 with mass layoffs at many companies. While Xbox Series X and S sales have reportedly lagged far behind its rivals, Sony is predicting it'll miss PS5 sales targets, although they're still predicting a ton of sales. So, during its current financial year, and Nintendo has kept tight-lipped about its Switch successor, it's worth noting that while the US video game market is far from being dead, it will have to start thinking outside of the console box if it wants to achieve more growth, according to Matt Piscatella from NPD Group. Sony and Microsoft have adjusted some strategies a little bit, with Sony doing more and more PC stuff, and then of course with Microsoft doing games on PlayStation and Nintendo. So it is a little bit weird to say the least, at the end of the day. So again, talking about it, Moore said, I think it's a real serious question that's being asked. I'm sure in Tokyo, in Redmond, Washington, and Kyoto, that's what everybody's working on right now, because when you start off the next generation, you've got to be ready to absorb billions of dollars in losses. And in the industry, given all the layoffs and everything we're going through right now, is the industry ready for that? So obviously you make some good points here, but I would also say that cloud gaming is not the answer. Cloud gaming is not the future. I know a lot of people think it is, but we've seen that every time, anybody talks, it would be really one of those situations where, we would have a clear answer. Like, again, when it comes down to it, I feel like us as gamers, we're not going to pay, $60, $70, $80, $90, $100 for games that we don't own. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like, people are not going to do that. So not having some kind of local hardware or whatever, I don't think is going to really work out the way that people think. And I do think that, that's probably the reason why we got lesser consoles in the Xbox One, PS4 era, and why they pushed them so hard to be, especially Microsoft, to be more than a gaming console, because they thought, hey, well, we're going to need to do this with people so that they, buy into our hardware thing, and it's more than just a gaming thing. People are going to want more than just a gaming thing. So, at the end of the day, that is sort of true, but I also think, obviously, game consoles aren't really in a position to really die. But what's other parts that's interesting is that he talks about how Microsoft was fearing the end of console gaming as early as the Xbox 360. So it seems that every console generation has speculation of whether it'll be the last one before they move away from dedicated hardware. And according to former Xbox boss Peter Moore, that even went on internally during the 360 era. The broader picture, and we certainly feared during this, my time at Microsoft, we were saying this in 2007, is this the last console generation? Do televisions start to come with chips that can play games, and you just need a controller? Is the PC, as it was then, a renaissance? They also followed up the 2007 mention, hinting that it was a long time ago to be questioning this sort of thing. Here's what he said. Yeah, the Xbox 360, during the back end of that, you have that concern. If you were thinking then of something that launched in the mid-2000s, what does the end of the decade look and how long were cycles were? Usually 5 or 6 years. And what does it look like in 5 or 6 years? Are we going to need another? Well, the answer ultimately was yes, but the questions were being asked even then. So, while there's a lot of speculation on Xbox consoles and things like that, Microsoft at the very least has confirmed that they're going to do, a next-gen hardware. They're going to have some kind of next-gen landscape. And Sony will inevitably have one too. I don't think, listen, regardless, people can go, well, console gaming is niche or whatever, but I mean, as long as people are going to do console game, are they going to leave that? I mean, it makes a ton of money. You're going to leave that on the floor or whatever. I just don't see people going, oh, we're just going to force people to do cloud streaming. Like, people aren't going to just go, okay, here, I don't need another console. I don't need a PC. Sure, I'll buy a $100 game that can only stream, like video games or whatever. Like, I don't see that happening. It's really just not something that people, and especially myself, like, maybe even if I can't speak for anybody else, I can sure speak for myself and say that, yeah, I'm never ever going to game through the cloud. Even if I could, even if I had an infrastructure to do that, it just sounds horrible. So, yeah, not really something that I would do. But what do you guys think? I mean, do you guys think, are you tired of the doom and gloom with consoles, not just Xbox, but in general? It seems like everyone's all just talking about the end of consoles all the time. So, I mean, it's frustrating, to say the least. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.